The Qur'an is not a neutral book. It is not just ink upon pages or sounds rolling off the tongue. It has the power to become the greatest shield for your soul, or the heaviest burden that crushes you. The very words of Allah can either raise you to eternal honor or be the witness against you on the day you stand before Him. The question is, what do you allow to settle inside your mind, inside your chest, inside the secret space of your heart? For many of us, our thoughts are occupied constantly by the endless details of life. Work schedules, deadlines, household chores, taking care of children, preparing meals, homework and assignments. These matters take up so much mental space that little remains for the remembrance of Allah. Others among us drift into the bottomless wells of gossip, entertainment, social media distractions, or streams of pointless information that never end. If one does not guard the heart carefully, these things multiply until they dominate. And when they dominate, they suffocate not only your awareness of Allah, but also your relationship with His book. The Qur'an, which should have been your companion, becomes distant, and though neglecting it may feel small at the moment, the reality is terrifying. Losing your bond with the Qur'an could mean losing your greatest supporter when you are placed in the grave, alone and helpless, and when you are resurrected to face the ultimate judgment. Allah, exalted and perfect, declares in His book that if this Qur'an were revealed upon a mighty mountain, that mountain would crumble and collapse in awe of its Lord. The imagery is staggering. A structure so immovable and solid would shatter under the weight of divine revelation. Yet, Allah chose to place this Qur'an within the heart of a human being. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, his chest was expanded, his heart made vast, so that he could receive it fully. As for the rest of humanity, Allah granted us the ability to carry portions of it, some more, some less. For us, it has the potential to be exactly as the Prophet ﷺ described, the springtime of our hearts and the light of our chests. It can nourish us like rain nourishing dry land, filling us with life, joy, and clarity. On the other side, the Prophet ﷺ also gave a frightening description. The one who has no Qur'an inside his chest is like a house left in ruins. Imagine an abandoned dwelling, windows broken, walls cracked, roof leaking, empty and lifeless. That is the parable of a heart devoid of the words of Allah. It explains why the punishment shown to the Prophet ﷺ in a vision is so severe. He said that during his night journey with the angels, he was shown a scene, a man lying flat on the ground, and another man standing above him with a massive rock. The standing man would smash the head of the one lying down, shattering it. The boulder would then roll away, and the attacker would go chase it. By the time he returned, the victim's head would be restored, and the crushing would happen again and again and again without end. The Prophet ﷺ, horrified, asked, "O Jibreel, who is this?" And the answer was given, "This is the one who neglected the Qur'an, who neither recited it nor lived by it, who abandoned prayer and slept heedlessly through the night." It must be clear, this is not referring to someone who forgets a portion of the Qur'an out of human weakness, poor memory, or illness. The warning is about deliberate neglect, choosing to turn away from the Qur'an, ignoring it, refusing to act on it. Scholars have long explained that there are two categories of forgetting, what they called Nisyan. The first is the blameworthy type, forgetting because of ihmal, deliberate negligence, lack of care, turning your back on the Qur'an. The second type is forgetfulness due to natural causes or circumstance, something beyond a person's control. That is not held against a believer. Imam Ash-Shawkani, may Allah have mercy on him, pointed out that perhaps the word Nisyan here could also mean failing to implement the Qur'an, since there are authentic narrations that support that meaning. In either case, it is clear the person being punished is the one who abandoned the Qur'an, who left it behind in both practice and recitation. And this is the very type of person the Prophet ﷺ will complain about on the Day of Judgment when he says, "O my Lord, indeed my people took this Qur'an as something abandoned." Reflect on that word, mahjura. It comes from the same root as hijra, migration. Just as a person migrates from one land to another, this word describes people who have migrated away from the Qur'an, leaving it as though it had no place in their lives. Imagine the state of a soul that has moved away from Allah's book. What remains of its nourishment, its guidance, its protection? The Qur'an is like rain from the sky, descending with mercy and blessing. When rain falls, it revives the dead earth, sprouting greenery and giving life. But sometimes it strikes land that is hard and unyielding. What if your heart is that hardened ground, refusing to let revelation in? What if your head is that stubborn rock that resists? Then the Qur'an will testify against you rather than for you. But how different it is for the one who falls in love with the Qur'an, especially in the sacred month of Ramadan. How many times do people reconnect with the Qur'an in Ramadan and whisper to themselves, "Where has this been all year?" But the question should be reversed. Where have you been? For the Qur'an has never moved. It has always been right there, waiting on your shelf, eager to be opened, longing to fill your heart with its light, ready to be your truest companion. It was prepared to speak to you in moments of despair, to bring you comfort when no one else could, and to stand by you when everyone else departs. And when you finally descend into your grave, it does not abandon you. Rather, it comes to you as a familiar friend, as a soothing presence. There are narrations describing this companionship in vivid terms. Ubadah ibn Samit, may Allah be pleased with him, said that when a believer devoted to the Qur'an is on his deathbed, the Qur'an stands by his head as his body is prepared. When he is washed, the Qur'an enters between his chest and his burial shroud. When he is lowered into the grave, and the angels Munkar and Nakir approach to question him, the Qur'an intercedes. The angels say, "Step aside, for we have been commanded to interrogate him." But the Qur'an replies, "By Allah, I will never leave his side. If you must question, then do so, but I remain here as his protector." Then the Qur'an turns to the deceased and asks, "Do you know me?" The believer replies, "I do not." The Qur'an answers, "I am your companion, the Qur'an. I kept you awake during the nights, I made you thirsty during the days of fasting, I restrained you from desires, and I turned you away from forbidden speech. Today, I am your loyal companion." It then gives glad tidings, "Rejoice, for after these questioning angels depart, you will never again experience fear or sorrow." The angels leave, and the Qur'an ascends to request for its companion a bed and covering from paradise. And Allah commands it to be granted. A mattress, a blanket, and a shining lamp from Jannah delivered by 1,000 angels carrying fragrant plants. They place them in the grave, lay the believer upon his right side, and depart. The man gazes at them until they disappear upward, while the Qur'an settles near his head, expanding his grave, keeping him company until the day of resurrection. This shows why your recitation of the Qur'an, your attachment to it, your memorization and practice of it, is the most precious treasure you can carry into the life of the grave, the Barzakh. It is your friend when you are alone in your room, and it remains your friend when you are alone beneath the earth. Among the surahs of the Qur'an, some are especially mentioned as protection from the punishment of the grave. Think of the nightly recitation of Surah al-Mulk. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, confirmed that whoever recites this surah every night will be protected from the torment of the grave. What a simple but profound act before sleep to take a few minutes to recite it and gain that shield. There is also a remarkable narration from Uqba ibn Amir, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Prophet ﷺ said, "If the Qur'an were written upon a skin and cast into a fire, it would not burn." Reflect on how many times in recent history, even in our times of crisis and places of war and destruction, like Gaza, masjids have burned, homes have been reduced to ashes, yet copies of the Qur'an have been found miraculously preserved among the rubble. Some scholars explain that the Prophet ﷺ was referring to the material they used to write on in his time, such as bones or animal skin, which could resist fire. But Imam Ibn Qutaybah, may Allah have mercy on him, offered a more spiritual interpretation. Allah will not allow fire to consume a soul filled with the Qur'an. Umama, may Allah be pleased with him, likewise advised, memorize the Qur'an or recite it regularly. Do not be deceived by these physical copies alone, for Allah will not punish with fire a heart that contains the Qur'an. So, if you allow the Qur'an to fill you, the fire cannot consume you. And when the great resurrection comes, when graves burst open, the Qur'an itself will come forward. The Prophet ﷺ described that the Qur'an will appear on the Day of Judgment as a pale man who will stand before its companion and say once again, "Do you recognize me?" And the man will say, "I do not." And the Qur'an will say, "I am your companion, the Qur'an. I made you thirsty during hot days. I kept you awake through nights of devotion." Every trader gains from his trade, and today you will gain from your trade with me. Is there any business more profitable than trading your hours, your breaths, your efforts for the words of Allah? Every letter elevates you here, and every letter raises your rank in paradise. How much will you wish when you are placed in your grave that you had spent more time with this companion? And even if you had some companionship with it, you will wish you had increased it more, for on that day there is nothing you will crave more than the Qur'an as your advocate. And if the dead could speak, what do you think they would tell you? They would say, "If only we had recited more. If only we had acted more by it. If only we had made it our companion." Allah tells us of their regret, "My Lord, allow me to return, so that I may do righteous deeds in what I left behind." But it will be said, "Number, these are empty words, and behind them lies the barrier of Barzakh, until the day they are raised again."